Well, it was back in 1962. I was living with my dad in Detroit. My parents had divorced. I was raised in Pittsburgh primarily, but in the latter teen years, my mom sent me to Detroit because I got to be a little bit of a handful. Then my dad, he's the one that directed me to the military. And so I joined the Army in 1962. And I took basic at Fort Knox, Kentucky. And from there, they sent me to Signal Corps School in Texas. That was a joy for me because I've always liked gadgets and things. And so I had a chance to play with all these big things, you know. And they qualified me as a radio teletype operator, which meant we had equipment that we could actually operate the teletype in a Jeep or a truck or whatever, and it would transmit that signal to another device that would receive it miles away. Did that, went to Fort Benning, Georgia, where they were developing the air mobile concept. Everything, for the most part, was vehicles, tracks and vehicles. But in Vietnam, as that was coming about, it was jungle territory. So we had to learn how to fly over that and get equipment down into that, yeah. So we developed the concept of actually taking Jeeps and trucks and all that to a certain spot, and then we would drop them with a parachute into an area, and then, you know, the guys would get them. And so the guys, we would arrive in an area and have to rappel from the chopper down into the area that we were going to be in. It took a month for us to get to Vietnam. We left in July of '65 from Fort Benning, where we were developing this air mobile concept. They took the colors of the 1st Cavalry Division that was in Korea and gave those colors to this new division and dubbed it 1st Cavalry Division Air Mobile. And then they put us on some boats and sent us to Vietnam. Yeah, it was 30 days. We had one day or a half a day rest stop in Hawaii. So we got to Vietnam, and we landed on the beach pretty much like you see in the movies, because we had to come down the side of the ship into these LSTs, and the LSTs would take you into the shoreline. And of course, we were, I was 18, 19 years old, so a bit afraid, not knowing what to anticipate, even though you had what you thought was the best weaponry in the world, you know, and the support of your buddies and all that. Still at a young age, you know, you're afraid. So they took us in, dropped the gate on the LST, and told us to hit it. And we hit it. And we hit this beachhead. It was kind of like a hill. And you could just basically see just the sky. And so we assumed that there was something on the other side of that. We didn't know that a Marine brigade had already cleared that area for a landing. So when we got up the top of the hill, it must have been about 50 to 100 children that approached us, and they were, "Hey, GI, you got candy? Hey, GI, you got," which was a welcome relief, you know, from what we thought was going to run into. But then they put us on choppers and that, and it flew us to our destination, which was An Khê, where we went. And we set up a perimeter there in that area, and our job was to cut off the Viet Cong before they got down into the southern part of the country. I didn't have a lot of firefights, maybe 3 or 4 that I can recall, because my job was mostly technical. So they only used me when they needed somebody. They didn't have enough. I remember one time they put me on the chopper, and I had to sit in the doorway as a gunner in this chopper as they flew over the perimeter looking for folks. Kind of a pretty good target sitting up in there. I was hoping I didn't see anybody. But I was ready. I had a big 50 caliber machine gun, and I was ready to go.